10-year-old Ava sat at her small lemonade stand on a quiet street, her handmade sign reading, "Lemonade for Mom's Chemo." The jar beside her held a few crumpled bills, a symbol of her determination to help her sick mother. Despite long days and few customers, Ava never gave up, her mother's words echoing in her mind. A kind heart always finds a way. But Ava could never have imagined what would happen next. A convoy of sleek black cars stopped at her humble stand, and out stepped none other than LeBron James. What he did next left everyone speechless. On a quiet suburban street, Ava sat behind a small, weathered table that served as her lemonade stand. The table wobbled slightly with every movement, its once bright paint now chipped and faded from years of use. A homemade sign, written in big, uneven letters, read, "Lemonade for Mom's Chemo." It was taped to the front of the table, slightly crooked but filled with heart. Beside Ava was a plastic pitcher of lemonade, sweating in the warm afternoon sun, and a small metal jar that held a few crumpled bills and coins, a modest start to a much bigger dream. At only 10 years old, Ava had a determination beyond her years. Her mother, Emily, was battling a relentless illness, and the mounting medical bills weighed heavily on their small family. Ava knew she couldn't change everything, but she was determined to help in any way she could. The lemonade stand was her way of fighting back, a small act of hope and love for her mother. Every afternoon, after school, Ava would carefully set up her stand in the same spot, at the corner of their street. Rain or shine, she sat there with her bright smile and hopeful eyes, waiting for someone, anyone, to stop and buy a cup. Some neighbors were kind, offering $1 or $2, with a word of encouragement. Others passed by without a glance, too busy with their own lives to notice the little girl trying to make a difference. But Ava never let the indifference or even the occasional cruel remark break her spirit. Once, a group of teenagers drove by, shouting mean words and tossing an empty soda can in her direction. Ava flinched, her eyes briefly filling with tears, but she quickly picked up the can and threw it in the trash. Her resolve was stronger than their words. Her motivation came from her mother's words, spoken often during their quiet moments together. "A kind heart always finds a way." Ava carried those words in her heart as she poured each cup of lemonade, hoping that her small efforts would be enough to make a difference. Despite her age, Ava faced challenges with a strength many adults could admire. The days were often long and quiet, with few customers stopping by. Yet, she remained steadfast, her chin resting on her hands as she watched cars pass her by. She refused to give up because, in her heart, she believed that kindness could create change, even if it started small. Little did Ava know that her humble stand, her unwavering determination, and her love for her mother would soon capture the attention of someone who could turn her small act into something extraordinary. What started as a quiet corner on an ordinary street was about to become the center of a life-changing moment. Every afternoon, no matter the weather, Ava carefully set up her small lemonade stand at the corner of her quiet street. The routine had become second nature to her, dragging the weathered table from the garage, taping her handmade sign reading, "Lemonade for Mom's Chemo," and filling a plastic pitcher with freshly made lemonade. She neatly stacked plastic cups beside it, and placed her small jar, already holding a few crumpled bills and coins, at the edge of the table. Rain or shine, Ava showed up, her heart full of hope and determination. She believed in what she was doing. For her, this wasn't just selling lemonade, it was a small way to help her mom, who was fighting a relentless illness. But not every day was easy. Many cars sped past without even slowing down. Some drivers barely glanced at her, while others seemed to deliberately avoid eye contact. Occasionally, a kind neighbor would stop, offer $1 or $2, and give her a smile or a few encouraging words. But most passers-by were indifferent, too caught up in their own lives to notice the little girl with a big sign and an even bigger heart. Some moments were especially hard. One afternoon, a group of teenagers in a loud car drove by, laughing and shouting cruel words. One of them threw an empty soda can in her direction. Ava flinched, her cheeks flushing with embarrassment. But instead of letting it break her spirit, she quietly picked up the can, tossed it in a nearby trash bin, and returned to her spot. She didn't cry. Her mother's words rang in her ears, "A kind heart always finds a way." There were also days when her determination was tested by long hours and empty streets. She would sit with her chin resting on her hands, watching the cars go by, her little jar of donations barely jingling with new coins. Yet, she refused to give up. She smiled through the quiet moments, holding on to the belief that her efforts mattered. Ava's perseverance came from her love for her mom, and her unwavering hope. She knew that even small acts could make a difference. No matter how difficult it got, she showed up every day, rain or shine, her heart full of determination. What she didn't know was that her quiet struggle was about to turn into something extraordinary, one that would touch not only her life, but her entire community. It was a quiet afternoon in Ava's suburban neighborhood, the kind of day where everything felt still. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the streets. Ava sat at her stand, her chin resting on her hands as she stared down the road. It had been another slow day, and the thought of packing up early crossed her mind. Her lemonade pitcher was still nearly full, and her donation jar jingled with only a few coins when shaken. Just as Ava sighed and prepared to start cleaning up, something unusual caught her eye. In the distance, a convoy of sleek, black luxury cars turned onto her street. The polished vehicles gleamed in the sunlight, their tinted windows adding an air of mystery. Neighbors peeked out from behind their curtains and doorways, curious about the unexpected commotion. This wasn't the type of neighborhood where limousines or high-end SUVs often appeared. Ava sat up straight, her heart fluttering with curiosity. The convoy slowed as it approached her corner, and to her amazement, the lead vehicle came to a stop right in front of her lemonade stand. The quiet street seemed to hold its breath as the rear door of the SUV opened. Out stepped a tall, athletic man dressed in a simple yet sharp outfit. His confident stride and warm presence were immediately recognizable to some of the onlookers. Whispers rippled through the neighborhood as neighbors stepped out onto their porches. "Is that LeBron James?" someone murmured, their voice tinged with disbelief. Ava, however, didn't immediately recognize him. All she saw was a towering figure walking toward her, with a kind smile. LeBron's gaze fell on the sign taped to her table, "Lemonade for Mom's Chemo." His expression softened as he took in the words, and he crouched slightly to meet Ava at eye level. "Hi there," he said, his voice calm and friendly. "Is this your stand?" Ava nodded, her voice barely a whisper as she replied, "Yes, sir." LeBron smiled. "Your sign caught my attention. You're selling lemonade to help your mom." "Yes," Ava said, gaining a little more confidence. "She's sick, and I wanted to help pay for her treatment." LeBron paused, glancing at the small jar of donations beside her pitcher. His brow furrowed slightly, and then he looked back at her. "That's a really brave thing you're doing. Your mom must be proud of you." Before Ava could respond, LeBron gestured toward one of the other vehicles in the convoy. The rear door opened, and a man in a suit stepped out, carrying a small briefcase. Neighbors began stepping closer, their curiosity growing with every moment. LeBron leaned closer to Ava and asked gently, "Do you mind if I stay here for a bit? I'd like to help." Ava nodded, her heart racing as she watched him motion for the man with the briefcase to come forward. She had no idea what was about to happen, but she could feel that this moment was going to change everything. As the man with the briefcase approached Ava's stand, the growing crowd of neighbors held their breath. LeBron James stood beside Ava, his towering presence radiating warmth and compassion. He opened the briefcase, revealing neat stacks of cash that seemed to glow in the sunlight. Gasps rippled through the gathering as LeBron pulled out a bundle of bills and placed it gently into Ava's small donation jar. The once modest jar, barely holding a few crumpled bills, was now overflowing. "This is for your mom," LeBron said, his voice steady and sincere. "I want to make sure she gets the care she needs." Ava's eyes widened as she looked at the jar, now filled with more money than she had ever seen. Her hands trembled as she whispered, "Are you sure?" LeBron crouched down to her level, meeting her gaze with a warm smile. "Absolutely," he said. "What you're doing for your mom is incredible. You've shown so much love and courage. The least I can do is help you both." The crowd erupted into cheers, the noise breaking the quiet of the suburban street. Some clapped, while others wiped tears from their eyes. Miss Turner, the elderly neighbor who had been Ava's most loyal customer, stood with her hand over her heart, a tear streaming down her cheek. Mr. Jansen, the mailman, gave Ava a proud nod as he watched the scene unfold. But LeBron wasn't finished. Turning back to his team, he motioned for another man to bring over a set of documents. Addressing both Ava and the crowd, he said, "This isn't just about money. I've arranged for your mom to receive the best medical care available. She won't have to worry about the cost anymore." The neighbors gasped again, their amazement growing. Ava's hands covered her mouth as tears welled up in her eyes. She couldn't find the words to express what she was feeling, so she simply threw her arms around LeBron in a tight hug. LeBron stood, addressing the crowd with a powerful message. "Kindness is contagious. Ava showed us that even small efforts can make a big difference. Let's all be inspired to help others in need." The street burst into applause, and Ava's quiet corner of the neighborhood became a beacon of hope and unity. LeBron's kindness had not only changed Ava's life, but had also touched the hearts of everyone watching. LeBron James' unexpected act of kindness sparked a ripple effect that spread through Ava's neighborhood like wildfire. Inspired by his generosity, neighbors, who had once passed by her lemonade stand, without a second glance now rallied around Ava and her family. What began as one man's gesture turned into a collective movement of support and care. The very next day, Miss Turner, Avaz's elderly neighbor, took it upon herself to organize a bake sale. She went door to door, asking neighbors to contribute homemade treats. Within hours, her small idea turned into a bustling event on Avaz Street, with tables lined with cookies, pies, and cakes. Every cent raised went straight to supporting Ava and her mom. Mr. Jansen, the friendly mailman, started an online fundraiser, sharing Avaz's story and LeBron's inspiring gesture. Within days, the campaign surpassed its initial goal as donations poured in from strangers moved by Avaz's determination and the community's growing unity. Even those who didn't know Ava personally felt compelled to contribute, leaving messages of encouragement and support. But the neighbors didn't stop at raising money. Seeing Avaz's home in need of repairs, a group of volunteers came together on a sunny Saturday morning, armed with tools and paint brushes. They patched up the roof, fixed the creaky porch, and gave the house a fresh coat of paint. By the end of the day, Avaz's home stood as a symbol of the love and care that now bound the community together. Avaz's lemonade stand, once a quiet corner of hope, became the heart of the neighborhood. People came not just to buy lemonade, but to connect, share stories, and offer support. Children brought handmade cards for Avaz's mom, while adults brainstormed more ways to help. The once indifferent neighborhood transformed into a vibrant community united by a shared purpose. For Ava, the change was overwhelming but deeply touching. What had started as a small gesture to help her mom had grown into something far greater. Her lemonade stand became a symbol of unity and hope, reminding everyone that even the smallest acts of kindness could bring people together. As the days turned into weeks, the neighborhood's newfound spirit endured. Families who once barely spoke to each other were now friends, bonded by the kindness that Avaz's story had inspired. Her mom, once hesitant to accept help, was overwhelmed with gratitude. "I never knew people could care this much," she said, tears in her eyes. Ava smiled, knowing her stand had done far more than she ever dreamed. It had changed lives. LeBron James' incredible gesture was just the beginning. The impact of his kindness rippled through the neighborhood like a wave, inspiring everyone who had witnessed it to act. For years, Avaz's neighborhood had been a quiet, disconnected community, where people mostly kept to themselves. But after that day, everything began to change. Miss Turner, the elderly neighbor who had been Avaz's most loyal customer, decided to organize a bake sale. She rallied other neighbors, young and old, to join her, and together they raised more funds to help Avaz's mom. Soon, other neighbors pitched in as well. Mr. Jansen, the mailman who always stopped by Avaz's stand, with a joke and $1, started a community GoFundMe campaign. The donations poured in, not just from locals but from people across the country who had heard Avaz's story online. The transformation didn't stop there. A group of neighbors volunteered to repaint Avaz's home and repair their porch, which had been in desperate need of fixing. Others delivered meals, offered rides to the hospital, or simply came by to spend time with Avaz's mom, reminding her that she wasn't alone. The lemonade stand itself became a beacon of hope and unity. What had started as Avaz's humble way of helping her mom turned into a symbol of the power of community. Neighbors who had once passed by without a glance now stopped regularly, not just to buy lemonade, but to check in on Ava and her family. Parents brought their children, sharing the story of Avaz's courage and teaching them about the importance of kindness. Soon, Avaz's lemonade stand became a tradition in the neighborhood. Every weekend, families would gather around, sharing laughter and stories over a simple cup of lemonade. The stand wasn't just about raising money anymore. It had become a place where people came together, united by a shared sense of purpose and compassion. LeBron's words echoed in the hearts of everyone: kindness is contagious. His actions had inspired a community to come together, to break through their differences, and support one another in ways they never thought possible. Ava, with her unyielding determination, had sparked something extraordinary. Through the collective efforts of her neighbors, Avaz's mom began to feel a renewed sense of hope. With the financial burden lifted and the constant support of her community, she could focus on her treatment and recovery. Sitting on her newly repaired porch one evening, she held Avaz's hand and said, "You didn't just help me, Ava, you brought everyone together." Avaz's story is a testament to the power of small acts of kindness. What began as a young girl's humble lemonade stand became the heart of a community, showing that even the smallest efforts can create a ripple effect of compassion and generosity. LeBron James' unexpected act of kindness not only lifted a burden from Ava and her mom, but also ignited a spark in everyone who witnessed it. His words and actions reminded us all that the size of the gesture doesn't matter, it's the heart behind it that counts. By stepping in and helping Ava, he showed the world that true greatness isn't just about achievements but about lifting others when they need it most. The community's transformation is equally inspiring. Neighbors who barely spoke before came together, rallying around Ava and her family. Through their efforts, they repaired more than just a home, they repaired connections, built relationships, and created a stronger, united community. Ava's lemonade stand became more than a place to buy a refreshing drink. It became a symbol of hope, love, and the incredible power of unity. This story challenges all of us to reflect on our own actions. What small act of kindness can you do today? It doesn't take grand gestures or fame to make a difference. Sometimes, all it takes is showing up, offering help, or simply being there for someone in need. Compassion and generosity, no matter how small, have the potential to change lives and inspire others. So, let Ava's story remind us that even the smallest acts can create waves of kindness. Take a moment to think about how you can make a difference today, whether it's lending a hand to a neighbor, donating to a cause, or simply offering a kind word. Let's create a world where kindness is contagious, and everyone feels the impact of compassion. And if this story inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that remind us of the good we can bring into the world. Together, we can make kindness the norm, not the exception.